Hi there, I'm Maggie Forciedo, and once again, welcome to the FeelCast. I'm joined again by Clinical Psychologist and founder of Geluk Psychology Services, Edwina Mensah Husselmann. Edwina, thank you once again for joining us.
Good day, Maggie. It's always a pleasure to be here in your studio.
Today's topic is postpartum depression.
Mm.
What does that mean? What is it, and what can you tell us about, the symptoms and the causes thereof?
Postpartum depression is exactly what it says. It's depression postpartum. That means it's a mood disorder that you are likely to develop after the birth of a child. And any parent, both sexes, can experience this mood disorder. And it doesn't only affect the parents of giving birth to a child for the first time. It can be of any child because some parents, there's a gap in their family planning, more than 6 years or so, and that adjustment is also a struggle. And it also depends on how the pregnancy goes and whether the pregnancy was planned or not. So it's basically depression after the birth of a child.
So this is almost like the postnatal
Yes,
that you feel after birth.
yes, that is the normal baby blues, and there's a significant difference.
Which is kind of like
Minor in
compared
terms
to
of the severity and also in terms of the duration that the symptoms manifest. So let's go over to the symptoms then. It's the basic symptoms of depression. Your sleeping patterns can be disturbed too little or too much. Your appetite, eating more or less, sadness, constant crying, a low mood, loss of interest in your usual activities, and you just feel down in the dumps, you feel worthless, you feel discouraged, you feel worried. So there's also a mix of a bit anxiety and fear in postpartum depression. And then also you feel shame or guilt that you have done things wrong or you are not handling things proper. You also had certain expectations, so you might feel disappointed in the way that the welcoming of this new family member turns out. And also you may feel pressured and you may feel that you're more angry or irritable, or you less upbeat, and you're not so chirpy
Yeah.
and outgoing as you used to be. And many people withdraw themselves from friends or family members because you can get so many mixed messages and instructions. Granny who says this is the way we do things, or mum, and all that cultural influences and rituals that we need to oblige to. So there's a lot of direct and indirect pressure, and we often succumb to them, especially when you're a new parent,
Yeah.
because you don't know what it is. You're trying to find your way. None of us have been parents before, and even if you were a parent before, this might be another type of pregnancy and labor that was more challenging. So all these things manifest, and you start to doubt yourself in making decisions. Am I doing the right thing? Later on, it can become so severe that you have thoughts of harming yourself or your baby or your partner
Yeah.
if you don't feel supported by the partner, and you can even become suicidal.
Sure.
So it is a very
Is it
severe
kind of like a
disorder.
hormonal thing?
Yes, we will come to the risk factors, and hormones alone doesn't play a role, but it's a definite contributor.
To it. So, what is the difference between baby blues and postpartum depression?
It's normal for any parent, whether it's the first time or not, to enter parenthood, to for the first few days to a week feel unhappy or anxious and worried about this new child and responsibility for the rest of your lives.
Yeah. Does that, sorry for interrupting you, does that only happen like to first time
No,
mothers?
no.
Or can it also happen like
It
with
can
your
happen.
second or your third or your.
Yes, depending on what the circumstances were of the pregnancy and of the labor and of the situation
Yeah.
after giving birth to the child. So you can feel overwhelmed by those circumstances. It can be threatening to you. You don't have enough mental, emotional, or physical resources that you are equipped with to handle any challenge that the baby brings about in your lives. Because it is a major life event
Yeah.
that we psychologists call a life crisis. It means it is something significant, even if it's positive, like inviting a child. As we believe in Namibia, a child is a blessing. But we also know how much of a responsibility
Comes
it
with it,
is,
yeah.
and how many challenges there are. And that's where things like baby dumping and so forth sprout from.
Yeah. So then how does this affect the father?
Yes, we often tend to forget
Yes.
the father, and we want to acknowledge and uplift our men so that they can literally come to the table and that they are also recognized in what they go through.
Yeah.
So the father, especially when the father is young, when the father was not thoroughly prepared, when the father did not plan the pregnancy, unfortunately or fortunately, and also when the father doesn't have a voice and a say in the matter,
Yeah.
or is recognized, like we said, and when the father is not ready, especially we know the financial burden traditionally, although it's not the norm in Namibia, because we have many single mother households or even children households in Namibia. But the expectation is there for the father to provide.
Yeah.
And all focus is on the poor mother, yes, because the poor mother's body
Yeah.
and physique and mental and hormones and emotions were very taxed.
Yes.
So now it falls on the father that
Yeah.
needs to jump to every demand and make up for all those possible horrors that
Yeah.
the mother endured. So the father can also be left out of the process or be ignored unless he needs to do something or provide or maybe take a selfie on a lighter note, but it is very serious. So
Or get a few seconds just to hold the baby.
So it definitely affects both parents.
Yeah.
And both parents can suffer from postpartum depression.
What are the risk factors, the predisposition of postpartum depression?
In the event that before pregnancy even you have a family history or yourself a history of depression or bipolar mood disorder, any type of disorder that has to do with the mood can contribute or be a risk factor to postpartum depression in both sexes. And especially when it wasn't dealt with, diagnosed or treated before. And if it's not the first child, the likelihood, if you had it before, it's also a contributing risk factor that it may repeat again, just like miscarriage, for example. Because in the first onset you were not equipped enough, but some of us do build life skills and it's not necessarily the case. Another big risk factor is the hormonal system. When the hormones regulate our mood.
Yeah.
So if there is a a drawback with the hormones, it can negatively affect the mood, and you can develop this mood disorder of postpartum depression.
Yeah.
What stands out from research is that, especially if there is relationship problems between the parents, the couple, or the families, and also when there is a lack of support, as I
Yeah.
mentioned, in any way, not only physical ways, but just support and a word of affirmation,
Yeah.
and just can I
Being
bring you
there
a
and
cup of
caring and
tea?
yeah.
Yes, that type of
The
support.
small things at
The
least.
small
Yeah.
things, and are you okay? And
Yeah.
checking in on you, that can help. So another contributor is also that if you use substances, because substances also affect our mood. So you can become more volatile or impatient or irritable when you use substances, or the other partner can feel more pressure and
Yeah.
can feel I'm alone in this when
In this, yeah.
substances are involved. So I think those are the major risk factors.
Yeah. And then how does postpartum affect relationships, between the mother and the father and mother and child?
It has been proven by research in the clinical setting that the mother bonds especially more with the child usually. We don't generalize as psychologists, but it has been proven, and often the baby takes over the whole household, the routine, the time, the bonding of the two partners. So the baby literally, mentally,
Changes
physically
everything, yeah.
changes things even in the relationship. So there's a distance then between the two partners, and the focus is only on the baby's needs, and what the baby says goes, because
Yes.
otherwise the baby will rant and rave and cry like babies do.
Yes.
So we are all zoomed into
Yeah, the
keeping
focus is just
the
there, yeah.
baby healthy and happy, and we forget about ourselves as mothers and about our partners. Usually the baby would sleep old school. I don't know about the new age moms with the mother, especially if you are nursing. And there's even traditions where the mother is isolated with the baby, and you may not go out of the
How many
house. The
months
baby
and what,
will get
yeah.
sick, and all those traditions which may still exist today. And also with older mothers, you are already so taxed. You now have to worry to return to work, to get a nanny, if you have to return, about finances, and all of that stress can also negatively affect the relationship. And if you are depressed already and you are already overwhelmed and overextended, the likelihood is that it will negatively affect your relationship with your partner, because
Yeah.
we do take our stress out, unfortunately, on those closest to us that we
Yes.
are supposed to cherish more and show our love more. So this has a grave impact on the couple, and that they don't have enough quality time, and they cannot readily express their love to one another.
Yeah. And then the mother and the child.
The mother and the child can also suffer as a result if the mother has postpartum depression, because the mother is forever exhausted. The mother is impatient. The mother is stressed. The tone of voice has been proven, our auditory system. It nurses the baby and it calms the baby down. So if the mother is stressed out, obviously we know our tone of voice also elevates, or there's arguments or conflict. That also the baby picks up on those sounds and atmosphere around the baby. And then the baby can also become more tense. The baby can also easily be neglected by the mother, or the mother rejects the baby, and the baby seeks that attention and bonding.
And the cries will just
Yes.
continue. It will just get more.
Yes.
Mother gets more frustrated. And
Yes, so it is this vicious cycle because babies want that nursing and that nurturing
yes.
from especially the mother. And then if the mother doesn't eat well, it can also affect the development of the baby. And also if the mother use substances, it's
Like
also
when you
not
breastfeed.
healthy
Yeah.
for the baby.
Yeah.
But also in terms of the mood, if you use substances, you won't be so hands-on with regards to your baby.
Yeah.
So it really is a topic that's quite significant in terms of mood disorders, also in your mental health, and it's often neglected. And people don't even know what it is, and we think it's just simply baby blues. And this can go on for months, especially if the baby is born with colic. We all know what is colic.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. The baby has weans and cramps in the tummy and keeps on screaming. And also if the baby has any other health or physical
Issues,
challenges
yeah.
that is even more taxing than the normal healthy baby, that can really drive you out of your mind and upset the mood and the whole well-being of the family.
No, really, Edwina, I think this is a topic, that we need to, focus more on, because I think this is like happening quite a lot within our communities, our local communities. But unfortunately, we've come to the end of today's program. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we will speak to you again soon.
Thank you, Maggie.
That's all we have for you today. Join us again next time, where we will discuss the self with Jessie Strauss from Geluk Psychology Services.